These are 3 allegedly true stories submitted by subscribers, describing their terrifying experiences on the last day of school. This frightening experience happened at the end of my senior year of high school. I grew up in North Carolina, not far from Sanford, so we used to go there on weekends for pizza and to hang out. It's not a big city, but it's big enough to have stuff for high school kids to do. It was a more vibrant city when my dad was a kid, but it was a little run down and tired town at the time of my high school years. We still had fun and created a lot of wonderful memories, except for that last day of school. Our last day of high school ended on a Thursday, and graduation ceremonies were going to be on Saturday, so we had some time to kill. Being a bunch of graduating seniors, we were full of ourselves. Someone suggested we drive over to Sanford and get a pizza, play video games, and maybe shoot some pool at speakeasies. So we announced that the senior class would gather in Sanford at the pizzeria. By 9 o'clock, a good number of the class was there, laughing our heads off and just being stupid. You know that age when movies like Animal House seemed so funny and the Blues Brothers cracked you up? We were graduating seniors, not yet as mature as we thought we were. You know what I mean if you were 30 now and looking back at that time in your life. Around 11, Chuck, the team captain, who always seemed to organize many of our fun times out of school, said he had an idea to make us legends. We'd set the bar for the last day of school stories for even our children's graduations. I'd take some balls and whatever for the girls. There was a building in Sanford that the Freemasons abandoned in the 1980s. By the time of our graduation, it was a dilapidated building, but in its heyday, it was a very active Masonic temple where Freemasons performed secret rituals. Well, Chuck's grandfather had been a member, and when he died, he left a box with a lot of old Masonic stuff, like his Freemason ring and a key for the now abandoned lodge. Chuck had brought the key and said this should be the night that we break in with the key. He tried to convince us that it wasn't breaking in since he had a key. Besides, the temple was abandoned for years. We would go there and party, have a spontaneous rave. It would be crazy wild, and we would never forget our last day of high school. Well, 12 of us kids ended up at the front door of the abandoned lodge. Chuck worked the key in the door bolt, which turned surprisingly easily. We went in and locked the door behind us, went up a stairway to the second floor, and started exploring. The corridor and rooms were in Greek Revival, which was the architecture of the order. They were secular and spiritual. Because they had strict secrecy rules, lots of conspiracy theories and speculation surrounded this building. We didn't know what we would find in any of the offices as we prodded about with our cell phone lights. We kept scaring each other as we went from room to room. After a while, we made our way up to the 3rd floor, where there was a pull-down ladder from the center of the room that was already down. So we climbed onto the roof through a trapdoor, and in the dark of the night, as it was past midnight, we sat in a circle and passed around a doogie. This was a big deal for us, as this was before weed was legalized, and even with that, we would have been underage. We were still goofing off and enjoying a trespass and secret meeting above the abandoned temple. Sometime past 1, we climbed down and tumbled down the stairs. To our horror, we entered the dark temple room, now illuminated by candles. We were surrounded by men in black robes. Their faces were covered, and only their eyes were visible. They did not speak a word, but surrounded us and forced us down on our knees. One of them had a black whip, which he kept snapping, making us face the altar and keep our heads down. It was terrifying. They never spoke a word to us, but continuously chanted in a language we didn't understand. It was nothing like what my grandfather had told me about what the Masons did in their ceremony. This was very dark and felt satanic and a mystical ritual. We didn't know what they were going to do to us, having interrupted their occult worship. We agonized on our knees, heads draped down, not daring to look up. Then, without warning, the high priest, or whatever he was, walked up to me and touched me on my head, and all went black. Hours later, maybe around 4 in the morning, I woke up and everyone else was lifting themselves from the floor. All the men in black cloaks were gone. The candles were out. No evidence of them remained. No wax, nothing. Together, we staggered down the stairs to the street and ran. We've only spoken of this to each other in whispers. It's been decades, and we still don't dare acknowledge that last day of school. My high school was a typical Midwestern school in a newer suburb of Columbus, Ohio. It was built in the 1980s, so when I attended in the 1990s, it was still new and growing, with new additions added to accommodate our fast-growing area. Cornfields were replaced by new buildings, football fields, baseball diamonds, and parking every year. The neighborhoods continued to grow with new homes advertised on billboards in the 400,000 and up range. It was a lovely suburb, and for me, growing up there seemed safe. We walked to school and played outside after dark. Our parents didn't worry. My friend Anna and I often cut through the woods from the back of school to get home. It was so much faster than walking the half-mile around by sidewalk. We girls would take this path even by ourselves after Friday night football games, after school drama, and whatever. Well, on the last day of school, we were rehearsing for our graduation ceremony, which was going to be on Friday. Hats and gowns were being handed out, and there was great excitement as we tried them on. Everyone was upbeat, and it was hard for the teachers to keep control, but no one really cared, not even the teachers, truthfully. It was to be expected on the last day. The principal established the order for the presentation of our diplomas and gave us each a number for the chair we were to sit in for the ceremony. She called my name, and I got number 36. She called Anna next, and I was delighted to know she would be sitting beside me at graduation. At that moment, I became aware that I had not seen Anna all morning. I heard the principal call her name again. Then she called out over the din, "Where's Anna?" Sarah said she saw Anna on the way to school, but she took the trail through the woods to get there early. But Sarah didn't go with Anna because the trail was still wet from the night's rain, and so Anna went by herself. With that information, the principal shouted, "Has anyone seen Anna at school?" No one answered. She called Anna's parents, who said she left early to be on time, and her mom said she didn't return home. 2 boys took off to run the trail to see if she had hurt herself and was still in the woods. They were back in less than 15 minutes with a distressing report. They had found Anna's backpack in the underbrush. They reported that the rain-softened trail showed evidence of a struggle with several different footprints. The police were called, and a canine unit arrived in less than 10 minutes. They began a search and rescue operation that lasted an hour. They reported that there was evidence confirmed by the dog that Anna had been dragged through the woods to the county highway that abutted the woods. There, the trail ended. An APB was issued for a missing person presumed kidnapped. All of us were stunned. Where's Anna? This was on everyone's mind, and nothing good was in our thoughts. Friday, the somber graduation ceremony was held. The chair next to me was empty. More than 20 years have passed. The woods have been replaced by a shopping center. My parents still live in the same house. Anna's parents moved away at least 10 years ago. Where's Anna is still in my thoughts, and I cry. This incident happened on the last day of school in my junior year, and it was terrifying. My high school is a typical high school in a larger Midwest city. We have difficulties with some gang wannabes, drug activity, and other criminal activity. However, we also have a core group of dedicated teachers and some students who want to learn and improve their lives. For us, living with the chaos around us is just part of our daily lives. The opportunities are there for those who want to take them. The rest of the riffraff just floods around us, making noise. On our side of town, a motorcycle gang had a small presence, mainly in a bar on 3rd Street, and the police beat in the newspaper for fights and vandalism. They were always suspected of drug activity and criminal mischief. It was really weird that they called themselves the Lord's Warriors, and they wore a red cross with a wreath of thorns on their leather jackets emblazoned with that name. A friend of mine who said that his father had had a beer in that bar one time said they even prayed before going out to wreck some guy's business because he had cursed at them, and they would not stand for that. How crazy is that? Sorry for the divergence, but it's an essential background for the story. On the last day of school, my class filled in an assessment that our teacher had given us to help him find better ways to teach the class next year. We all liked him, and it was one of the classes where I thought I really learned something. Since it was a hot June day, the windows were open. We heard the thunder of Harley engines out front of the school, which got our attention. I don't remember if it was 6, 8, or 12 of the Lord's Warriors, but they were making a lot of noise with the bikes. They came up the steps to the building, shouting that this school was an abomination against God and the work of Satan was upon this school. They entered at the front entry, and the principal was on the speaker. "This is a lockdown. Everyone remain in your classroom with doors locked. This is not a drill." The bikers were swinging clubs, smashing the trophy case and student artwork in the front lobby. They came to our classroom door, the first in the main hall, and struck the door so hard I thought it would shatter. But it held. Everyone was screaming and huddling in the back of the classroom. The alarm bell was blaring when we heard police sirens in the distance. We heard curses and threats to mend our ways, and then they left in a roar of engines. We remained in the classroom until the building was cleared by police. We were released early and instructed to go straight home, which most of us did. None of the day's events ever made the paper, and I haven't heard of the Lord's Warriors in years. They are probably all dead or in prison. The bar on 3rd has been abandoned for over a decade, and the building is slated to be demolished. However, the last day of junior year still haunts me, and it is all I remember when I pass the school in my daily activities.
Subscribe.